Well, hello, welcome to the first video of a series of videos I'll be doing, which will construct a D4, 1D4 repertoire. This is, of course, a new thing for this channel because I only uploaded commentated Blitz videos so far, but people requested to see some some other content, so I was thinking that this would be a good start to try out something else. The first video actually doesn't contain so many specific suggestions, but it's got the main point of showing the general idea if you construct an opening repertoire, especially if this repertoire is not based on 1e4, because there's one really big fundamental difference between 1e4 repertoires and repertoires based on other moves, and this difference mainly is that all openings other than 1e4 have got huge issues with move orders, and this is something that you rarely see in 1e4 openings. For instance, if you look at 1e4 and now black's basically choosing the general path the game will take, and then you choose one specific line or a specific setup. Oh, I need to switch off those arrows. I don't want to actually suggest the center counter here. But for instance, let's say he plays a c6, the Caro-Kann, then you'll get a Caro-Kann and nothing else. There won't be, most likely, any transpositions to, let's say, the French defense, or any transposition to 1e5. This is basically impossible. There are only very few possible transpositions between different moves that black may play. So you actually have to address each move, pick out some line or some concept, and those don't interfere with each other. So for instance, you pick against the Caro-Kann, you pick let's say the advanced variation, and against 1e5 you play, I don't know, the Italian game. Then if you got the problem with the Caro-Kann, you just switch this line and it doesn't interfere in any way with what you play against 1e5. But this actually doesn't apply to 1d4 openings, or openings that are similar, for instance knight f3 or c4. All these openings have got huge transpositional issues, and once you switch a certain line you play, you always need to check if this switch somehow has got any relation to other things you might play against other setups. So one example, for instance, let's say you play 1d4 and you want to choose a line against the Benoni defense, and you decide, okay, let's try for some active setup. Let's go with f4, bishop g7, and bishop b5 check, which is actually one of the main lines in the modern Benoni, and one line that put black often scares black players away from the opening in general. Let's say you like this line, you study it, and then at some point someone plays e6 against you. You go knight f3, he's playing c5, you go d5. Basically all other moves don't promise much don't promise any advantage, so you get d5, he takes d6, knight c3, and then you suddenly discover that you've got the Benoni again, but with a knight on f3 already. Of course you cannot play f4. and you're in a completely different setup, and you need to know something entirely different here. So your knowledge that you might have gained of f4 is of no value here. So you need to be aware that basically every time you decide to play knight f3 at some point, also in this position, if you, I'm not sure for what reason, but let's say you say you want to avoid this this line, Budapest Gambit, and you go knight f3, and at this point you're already telling your opponent, okay, I won't play f4 against the King's Indian, I won't play f4 against the Benoni, I cannot use my f-pawn anymore. And also you're very much committing your knight, of course, to f3, so there are no lines possible anymore where you might play knight e3 at e2 at some point, or well, knight h3 is very rarely a good idea, but knight e2 can be a pretty good idea in some lines. So early decisions here have pretty far-reaching consequences when it comes to choosing choosing lines for repertoire. You basically have to look at the whole thing and see if all the pieces fit together. So if you for instance look at a line versus the King's Indian, you always have to check if there are any possible transposition to Benoni setups. Let's say we get a regular King's Indian. Oops. Okay, white to move, of course. And now at this point, you, for instance, study f3. Castles. White plays, I don't know, let's say bishop g5 or bishop e3. It doesn't matter much. It does matter, but not for this point I'm trying to make. Oops. d5, of course. e6. And we're into a Benoni. Just via the King's Indian move order, we entered a regular Benoni setup. So in this case, for instance, if you study this line, it was the King's Indian. You need to study also this transposition. It's actually the main line against this particular variation. But this also has the benefit that in case someone comes up with a regular Benoni, let's say we arrive via this move order, then you just play f3, bishop g5, castles, queen e2, and you got the same position. So sometimes you can address two openings with one line, but you always need to be aware what kind of position you might get and what kind of position you actually avoid with each move order. The repertoire I will present in the next couple of videos. I'm not sure how many videos it will take. I still got the 15-minute limit on YouTube, so I have to do segments. The repertoire has got the basic idea to present some general concept that fits together well, so there shouldn't be any huge move order issues like the Benoni trick I just showed. It is mainly focused on building a huge center. It's very it's very active and aggressive. So it's also not without risk at some point. It's not unsound, of course. All lines are playable and are also played regularly by strong players, by which I don't necessarily mean world-class players. They have really some other demands for their openings. They need to be the extra bit sounder, so to say. So if you just play regular people, you can take some more risks than world-class players, for instance. Okay, let's see if I forgot something. Yeah, one general point. It's not possible, of course, to show all opening lines, rare lines. So I won't address let's say d4 b5 for instance, or d4 a6 or something. Of course, this is in some way playable, but I'll focus on the kind of lines you get if you add it all up in, I don't know, 95, 97% of the games if you play d4 regularly. I also won't go into lines that are 20 moves deep or something. I'll just show the general direction, and also will point out for certain lines where to look further. For instance, try to recommend a book if I know one offhand that might help with studying the specific line, or I recommend certain players which you could look the games up and study the way these experts play the line in question. Yeah, I guess that's it for the introduction. I'm pretty sure that I will forget one line or another, so please point out in the feedback which lines you're missing. Of course, really not those completely obscure stuff. So, but if I forget one really important opening, just tell me, and I'll add this in further videos. If you have some specific interest in a certain line, I can also make a dedicated video later of this if I've got the time. Okay, please leave any questions or comments on YouTube, and enjoy the further videos in this series.